Match week 7 begins with Manchester United against Everton. You simply cannot keep Cristiano Ronaldo out of the headlines. He scored the winner in Fergie time against Villarreal in their Champions League group game this week. Chelsea look to bounce back from 2 consecutive defeats as they take on Southampton at Stamford Bridge. And it could be a big day at the bottom of the table with Burnley, Norwich, Southampton, Leeds and Newcastle all still looking for their first win of the campaign. The late Saturday kick-off is at the Amex as in-form Arsenal travel to Brighton. Then 4 more games to come on Sunday, including a huge clash at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester City. And looking at the top of the table, that's first versus second going head-to-head. Man City are a point behind Liverpool, along with 4 other teams who also have 13 points. Another win for Arsenal could see them jump into the European places. At the bottom of the table, there's 5 teams yet to pick up a win in the league this season, and Tottenham, after a strong start, have slipped into the bottom half on the back of 3 defeats in a row. And joining me to preview all of this weekend's matches, we've got Owen, Hargreaves, Leanne Sanderson and Jason Burt. Welcome, everyone. It's been another busy week for some of our Premier League teams in European action. And Owen, you were at Old Trafford on Wednesday night for that late winner from Cristiano Ronaldo. What about the atmosphere when that went in?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. To be fair, Cavani was the one that kind of turned the game. He came off the bench. He was chasing the ball, pressing. He played up top with Cristiano Ronaldo. And I remember he won a ball back. He sprinted by Cristiano Ronaldo and won it back and pressed, and the stadium went crazy. And it was about 10 minutes before the end. And then it just felt like the atmosphere was building, and there was only going to be one man that was going to steal the show. And he's just... look, that's what he's going to give you. You know, he just gives you belief. United didn't play great. But with all those star players that they have, with Cristiano and Cavani and Greenwood and Sancho, there's difference makers in there. And I think Ole's still trying to find his style. But with Cristiano at the top of the pitch, anything's possible. That made you smile, Leanne, didn't it, as a United fan?
Absolutely. And I think, you know what I think of Cristiano Ronaldo. Everybody does. He's my favourite player ever. But, you know, the fact that, as Owen said, there was only going to be one man, and it was a 95th minute, yes. But I do think it's overshadowing the cracks at Manchester United at the moment. I think Ronaldo is getting them out of jail quite a lot. So we'll talk about that later in the show. But I think he's been phenomenal since he's come in. And people that question his age, if he was still quick enough, I think he's showing that he's more than capable of playing at this level still. Yeah, there's so much to discuss about Manchester United, but also Chelsea have had a really interesting week, Jason, and you were out in Turin for that defeat against Juventus. What did you make of them?
I thought it was slightly worrying, actually, to be honest. I mean, Juventus haven't been in great form. Obviously, you had a poor start to the season and played quite defensively, really, and tried to catch Chelsea on the counter-attack on the break, and they succeeded in doing that. What worried me most about the Chelsea performance was they looked a little one-dimensional. And I think the signing of Lukaku obviously has been a good thing, and he's obviously clearly improved them as a team, much more of a threat now, much more of a prospect to actually winning the league. But I think also a little bit like with United and Ronaldo, they're almost like relying on him too much, and they just couldn't give him the service against Juventus. That fantastic centre-half in Bonucci sort of did a very good job on him, and he had one chance, could have scored, but I think it was a real struggle for them. I think going forward, they're going to have to look at that. I think they really missed Mason Mount. That was the big loss. But I think going forward, they're going to have to look at how they kind of maybe vary it a bit more.
Let's start with Manchester United against Everton, though. That is the first game of this Premier League weekend. So let's hear from both managers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Rafael Benitez.
We've done that so many times at this club, come back at the end of tight games, difficult games. You know, we played against a very good team. We dominated the possession. Played some good stuff ourselves, but of course we were a bit too open on the counter-attack. We've got to accept that we have to defend better. But, you know, the boost and the energy that you get in a group after a win like this has to be built on. Then again, it's a very, very quick turnaround. It's a different turnaround than last year when we played Everton away, when we played Wednesday night and Saturday morning. But still, the players are not going to get caught out. We've got to start as we finished on Wednesday night.
Obviously, when you win against a good team, always is massive, and then you have very good memories. But now it's just to concentrate on that. It will be a tough game, difficult game against a very good team. People can talk about, oh, they lost this game or the other one, but they have so many good players that anyone can make the difference, like they did against Villarreal. So for us, it's just, or for me, is to concentrate on to do well, to be sure that we can present a team that can compete and try to get the 3 points. That's it. I saw in the press that the people talking about Seamus, Coleman and Dominic, but they are not ready yet. They are training, they are starting on the pitch little by little, but still they are not ready for this game.
Well, it's a great way to start this Premier League weekend at Old Trafford, where there were, 70-odd thousand fans making all that raucous noise at the end of that Champions League game on Wednesday. They'll be back there for the visit of Everton. And you mentioned it a moment ago, Owen, didn't you, about whether or not some of these results are papering over a few cracks at Manchester United. But can a big win like that in Fergie time just kind of kick this team on now?
Winner ever in a European tie at Old Trafford. I mean, that is, they've had some amazing winners. So you'd like to think it'd give the team confidence, but there was a lot of areas where I think you'd come away worried. Obviously, Leanne made a really good point in the fact that because you win like that, you maybe don't focus on, some of the other stuff that happened. They could have been 4-0 down in the first half against Villarreal. So I think Ole's got to find a way to get the balance right. I think if you look at Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, we know exactly how they're going to play. We know their style, we know their philosophy. We look at United, and right now it's the star players getting them out of trouble. So what is the identity going to be? Is Pogba going to play off the left? Is he going to play central like he did? It's going to be a tough game because Rafa's done an amazing job with Everton. And teams that play football, a lot of football, Brighton, Leeds, Southampton, have a lot of the ball, they've beat them. So I think for United, they've got to be careful because Rafa's good in these games where he has a game plan, he plays on the counter. But hopefully, the confidence they got from that game will help them go on and get a big result.
The questions really, Leanne, have been about whether or not this Manchester United side play as a team or whether it's just all about those world-class individuals. And was Wednesday night really just the epitome of that?
Definitely. I mean, Owen made the point earlier about Cavani and how much impact he can have. He's probably going to play less minutes this year, similar to Mason Greenwood, because Cristiano Ronaldo has come into the team. Now, I'm hoping it's not going to be the same as what happened at Juventus, because there was so much emphasis on Cristiano Ronaldo. Juventus signed him to specifically win the Champions League, and they got to the final 2 years in a row, and then he came and they didn't. So you have to really build the team around him. And I think if, at the end of the day, if he wasn't playing the other day, we wouldn't have won the game. He comes alive in those magic moments, and it was just set up for him. But I do think at this moment in time, people have emphasised a lot that we need a defence. Manchester United need a defensive midfielder, but at the same time we've got Varane, we've got Sancho, we've got Mason Greenwood, we've got Pogba. There's so many quality players there, but if they're not playing and they're relying so much on Cristiano Ronaldo, my question is, why is that? Because other players need to step up as well.
Jason, in terms of what's coming up for Manchester United, it's a big month of fixtures and some really tough games on the way. Is this when we'll see whether or not Man United can be genuine contenders?
I think they'll hope that's the case because, I mean, they have in the past tend to do better against some of the better teams. Solskjaer's got some good results in those games against other big clubs. They've really struggled, as Owen said, against teams such as Southampton and obviously Villa and so on. I mean, I'm much more critical of the whole situation with Manchester United. I think it's just not working. Really? I really don't think it's working under Solskjaer. Owen mentions the identity. He's been there 3 years. I mean, Graham Potter's been there a year at Brighton. We know the identity of the team. He's changed it in a year. What has Solskjaer done in 3 years? They just bought a lot of players, a lot of expensive players. People talk about defensive midfielder. Spent 50 million on Fred. They spent 40 million on Donny van de Beek. Just collecting all these players. That's what my feeling about it is. And I think the harshest thing I could say, which is probably not very nice, but if Klopp, Guardiola, Tuchel left their jobs tomorrow, what would happen? They'd be in a top job as soon as they wanted to be. If Solskjaer leaves, where does he go? If Graham Potter leaves tomorrow, if Dean Smith leaves tomorrow, if Thomas Frank leaves tomorrow and they go for a job interview and Solskjaer's on the shortlist, who gets it? I don't think Solskjaer gets that job.
But don't you think Ole's done a very good job of getting rid of a lot of...
I think what he's done, Owen,
and get the philosophy back, get the fans back on side, because I think
he's helped with the mood and the atmosphere.
That's for sure.
And I think there was a lot of trauma at the end of Mourinho, and I think that was going to take some time to bring that back. And in terms of that, he's done a very good job. But now you've got to move on.
But Jason, if you look at how far away Manchester United were, I mean, even I remember last year saying how far away Man United, and you'd say at least 4 players. Right winger, defensive midfield player, centre back and a full back. All of a sudden now you can look at United. The first time I could say maybe in a decade where I could say Man United have a puncher's chance to win this, to go and win the league. I believe that, talent-wise. But the problem is, in terms of identity, compared to Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, they're behind, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because they're putting all these pieces of the puzzle together. Again, you got Jadon Sancho, you got Varane, you got Ronaldo. So the top teams aren't really working 4 or 5 guys into a starting 11. I think Ole is going to go and win the league. I believe that, talent-wise. But the problem is, in terms of identity, compared to Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, they're behind, aren't they? Yeah. Because they're putting all these pieces of the puzzle together. Again, you got Jadon Sancho, you got Varane, you got Ronaldo. So the top teams aren't really working 4 or 5 guys into a starting 11. I think Ole, it's going to take time. I think it's a work in progress. But I think they're a lot better off than where they were a couple of years ago.
But me as a Manchester United fan, like, I look at it and I think to myself, we've added to the team. I agree with you about Ole to a certain degree, but I do think he's got rid of a lot of players that needed to be got rid of, likes of, there's so many players that he got rid of. But at the same time, why is it that I still sit here as a Manchester United fan and don't believe we're going to win the league? Chelsea got Lukaku and everybody's saying, well, they're going to be higher than Manchester United. Why is that?
Do you not think you can win the league this year?
I don't think so, but I don't know why. And as a Manchester United fan, that definitely hurts me to say that because I'm used to us winning things. But I think realistically, it doesn't look that way. And maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the reason for that, because I think if these players were at a team like Manchester City or Liverpool, we'd be talking about them winning the league. And I don't know why I feel that way.
No, that's basically my point. I mean, I think it sounds awful saying it, really, but I just feel that there comes a stage where, I absolutely agree with Owen, post Mourinho, they needed to almost change. Well, they did need to change the mood of the club. It was traumatised. It was traumatised.
But he was the last manager to win a trophy there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the debris was needed to be picked up, and that's exactly what Ole's done. The problem is, I think the rate of progress is just far too slow now. I think at Manchester United, you can't go 3, 4 years now without a trophy. How many more years?
Well, the players are happy again, but you have to win. This is Manchester United.
It's not just about making the players happy, is it? That's the problem. I mean, obviously you have to. Everyone should work in a good environment, but it's about then. I think there's probably too much of a comfort zone there at the moment. I'm not sure that there's enough of a kind of like, when are we actually going to win something here?
OK. We all know that this is the season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to win a trophy this season. But what trophy does that need to be, in your opinion, Owen?
Take anything. Don't you? You take it.
Well, they're out of the League Cup.
They're out of the League Cup already.
Well, I would have taken that. I think you've got to start somewhere. So you've got to have a platform for... You think about Varane, what he's achieved in the game, Cristiano, what he's achieved in the game. Those guys come in, they're not here to sell shirts or, to wave at Old Trafford or to come to the Premier League. They want to win. Varane wants to win. He's 28. He came here to make a difference. Cristiano's here to make a difference. He makes a difference. And he will demand from all those players in that dressing room every day in training, lads, we got to go. We got to go win something. Whether the other remains to be seen, but I think having another leader in there with Varane and Cristiano to go with Harry Maguire, David De Gea looks absolutely outstanding. I think by the end of this year, if they're not near enough or close to winning something, you'll see changes. But this, for me, is the first year where United could say, we have a chance to go and compete with the top teams. They were so far behind Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, it was almost unbelievable. Now, I think we need to be patient. They tried Van Gaal, they tried Mourinho. What did they get them? Nowhere. If anything, they went further back. So keep on this path, find a clear identity, figure out where Paul Pogba plays, and let's go and win something.
You say figure out where Paul Pogba plays, but how long has he been there? I'm not blaming...
A long time.
Yeah, so we're still talking about where does he play?
Well, for me, he's not. I love Paul, but he's not a world-class left winger. So he can't play on the left.
Okay.
So you got to play. For me, you got to build around your best players. Every team did that. So you played Bruno and Paul central, but then you saw against Villa and you saw against Villarreal they got overrun. You played centrally, they got overrun. So people always say about United they attack, the wingers attack, the fullbacks attack. Maybe the fullbacks just stay back this season and let the front five go and win you the game. Pogba, Bruno plus a front three. That's enough to win you a game. You see Chelsea, they defend with 5, they attack with 5. So I think for United, you got to build around Paul and Bruno and Cristiano. They're your best players.
I think we've also got to be ruthless. Chelsea were pretty ruthless mid-season, getting rid of Frank Lampard last year, and everybody was like, why did Chelsea do that? Why did Abramovich do that? But then look what happened. Look what Chelsea did in that time when Tuchel came in. So I'm not a big advocate for getting rid of managers. I do believe we have to have some kind of patience. But if I'm still sitting here next year as a Manchester United fan without a trophy, I think questions have to be asked. Because with the team that we have, with the players we have, we cannot be just going for like the League Cup. I know we're out of it now, but that is a trophy. But we have to be challenging for the Premier League. We have to be. Because what more do we need? Especially
when you've got a player like Cristiano Ronaldo returning to the club. As for Everton, on their visit to Old Trafford then, has this almost come at a bit of a bad time off the back of that win in the week for them?
What, for Everton?
For a bad time for Everton to visit Old Trafford?
Well, no, I think Rafa plays his way. They're not going to want much of the ball. They're going to be sit and be compact and defend, and they're good at that. I think they're well drilled. United are going to play their way, and I think you've got to be very wary of Rafa's teams because, they're so well drilled and so well designed that I think and again, you'll probably see Paul play on the left again, because he won't play him central because he probably won't trust him to be in there in a game like that. So I think for Rafa, every game they play, they're in, and I love that. They play with great personality and spirit. I just love that when teams compete like that. So I don't think it'll be easy for United, but again, I think the star players will win them the game. But I think Everton make it interesting.
What have you made of Everton under Rafa Benitez so far? Because they're right up there.
I think he's done a great job. I think it was quite smart, actually, not to spend any money in the summer. I think that actually took some of the pressure off in a sense. Obviously, Demarai Gray, Andros Townsend have both been great signings, and there were areas of the pitch where we're bringing in those wingers. You straight away knew what sort of football he's going to play. That was quite clear with those players. But I think he's got them organised. He's getting the best out of Doucouré, obviously Alan. He's missing Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, which kind of changes the game a little bit. Because I think with those two, they'd be much more competitive, I think. But no, I think he's done a great job. I think he's going to get them there, basically, in terms of their being back into that sort of top 8, in terms of challenging again. What will be interesting with him, by the way, is next summer. Because if they have a good year this year, I could see him going to the Everton board and saying, right, let's rip it up. I want to change it now. I want him in. I want him in. I want him. And that's when he starts to do his sort of power grabs, power games. And we've seen that before at different clubs. I think at the moment when he's just coaching and he's looking at the players and he's working with the players, that's when he's at his best. And I think if he carries on doing that, they'll do well. We
saw in the week as well much changed defence for Manchester United, and there's still no Harry Maguire for them this weekend. So how will that Manchester United defence cope with the likes of Townsend and Gray, who, as Jason pointed out, have been great signings? Yeah, I think that Manchester United are there for the taking, regardless of whether I'm a Man United fan or not. I think if you look at the performances on its entirety, I think Manchester United are not playing that well at the moment. So you look at the game against Aston Villa, West Ham in the Cup, going out, it's not good at the moment. The performances over the 90 minutes are not good. Cristiano Ronaldo is just getting them out of jail. So I think Rafa Benitez can go to Old Trafford. They potentially might be the underdogs, but because Cristiano Ronaldo scored in the 95th minute doesn't mean Manchester United are playing that well. All right, well, Leanne, you're on predictions duty today. You pulled the short straw. We're going to be seeing all those predictions at the end of the show. For now, though, let's move on to our